In the headlines, major changes announced to the cabinet of Barbados. Another stellar performance by the tourism industry. Cabinet to get a report every 2 months from the Ideas Forum. And in sports, Baileys and St. Cyprian's take the Obadele Thompson zone at NATSAC.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening to you and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. In a surprising turn of events this evening, 2 ministers of government have been relieved of their portfolios amid several changes to the cabinet of Barbados. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley made the announcement this evening.
Good afternoon, Barbadians. Earlier today, I received a letter from the Honourable Corey Lane asking to be relieved of his ministerial responsibilities so that he may spend more time with his family and to be able to give the government the opportunity to be able to ensure that it is in no way affected by anything related to charges. He has asked that he be noted for his complete innocence in these matters, and he is entitled to that. At the same time, I received a letter from the Honourable Marcia Cadell asking to be relieved of her duties with immediate effect. I have therefore accordingly informed Her Excellency President of Barbados, the Most Honourable Dame Sandra Mason, of changes that become effective tomorrow, February 26. I've asked the Honourable Kirk Humphrey to take responsibility as Minister of People Empowerment and Elderly Affairs for the task now of crime prevention. This will in fact sit well with his ministry, which has already taken responsibility for parental coaches and life coaches, and for whom the issue of social empowerment is central, and that is the centre of crime prevention. I have equally asked the Honourable Kay McConney to assume responsibility for the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment as full Minister. This will allow her to be able to undertake these hefty responsibilities, particularly as we move to a BERT 3.0 program, a Barbados Economic Recovery Transformation 3.0, as we come to the end of our IMF program at the end of June, and therefore we need to ensure that we lay the platform for sustainable growth and development. I have asked the Honourable Chad Blackman to assume responsibility for the Ministry of Educational Transformation, which will focus on pre-primary, primary and secondary education. I have asked the Honourable Sandra Husbands to assume responsibility for Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education, recognizing that government would wish to put all of its training programs in one, those from the Ministry of Public Service, those from the National Transformation Initiative, all of those previously in the Ministry of Education, so that the country can undertake a massive program for the upskilling of our people. I've said over and over that our responsibilities towards having skills for the requisite task of building out this country is the thing that keeps me up at night, not balance of payments or indeed debt anymore, as was the case when we first took office. I've also asked Mr. Jonathan Reid to assume responsibility as Minister of Innovation, Industry, Science and Technology. Mr. Reid previously served as my Chief of Staff and is therefore well familiar with all of these issues and programs and can hit the ground running. To accommodate Mr. Reid's appointment, I've asked, and she has agreed, Dr. Crystal Haynes to be able to allow us to manage the exigencies of these appointments, and therefore Mr. Reid will replace her as a senator in the Senate of the Barbados Parliament. I want to thank the Honourable Corey Lane, the Honourable Marcia Cadell, and indeed Dr. Crystal Haynes for their service to the Government of Barbados, and wish them all the very best, and as they continue to work with us in a collegial framework as we go forward in mission transformation and indeed in the building of our resilience at a time that is most difficult for the world. We are facing a number of grave uncertainties, and therefore our ability to stay focused and to get the job done is uppermost in our minds. I want to thank you and look forward to working with all of you as we stay focused on that journey. Thank you and have a blessed evening.
Now, following this announcement, we know there will be many questions that you have. So joining us live for his take on these surprising cabinet changes is political analyst Peter Wickham. Mr. Wickham, Thanks for joining us, first of all.
Hi, Tisha. Good to be with you. Interesting afternoon in politics.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts initially on these changes?
Yeah, I mean, there's several thoughts. I think one to start firstly with the Marcia Caddell's decline. One could say her decision to step down from cabinet. As I understand it, it was her decision. I think it's regrettable to the extent that I personally thought that she was a good minister and she was a superior intellect that the government of Barbados and the Barbados Labour Party benefited from. This is not the first time she has opted out of cabinet. It's the second time, and I suspect that her path back political centrality will be a lot more difficult this time around. So for me, that is some level of disappointment. And as Prime Minister wished her well, I also wish her well in terms of what future she has. My sense is that she has given a commitment to the Barbados Labour Party, and I think that the likelihood of her moving from there is quite low. So she will now join Sonia, former Minister of Health, on the backbench, and I think that the two of them will be people who have an interest in politics, a commitment to the BLP, but are just not frontline ministers at this point in time. The other interesting development would be Corey Lane. Corey Lane is one could say a young Turk in politics, and I think he has a bright future. He too has asked to be relieved of his responsibilities, and I think it's important that we note that both of those persons have asked to step down as opposed to being fired. And I think that his decision to focus on his family at this point in time is something that's also quite commendable. It saves the Barbados Labour Party from having to deal with questions of whether or not it is being hypocritical. He has not been charged with anything, but nonetheless, he's been interviewed by the police, and the argument could be put that it is useful that the police be given a free hand to have a full investigation, raise whatever questions they have, and for him to be able to defend himself. And I think that it's also commendable that he's taken a mature decision politically to say, look, let me step back, and there will be a point in time in the future, I'm sure, when he will step forward again.
There's also been a new appointment in Jonathan Reed, who's coming from working within the Prime Minister's ministry to taking on a senatorial position and moving into a ministry. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. Jonathan Reed is not well known to the public. I certainly don't know the individual. I've not met him more than once, and I think that we now will have to get to know him better. I don't think that Jonathan Reed is a political aspirant in the future. I don't expect to see him running for a seat. It sounds to me like a technical appointment where he has a specific technical task to do, and he will not do that as a minister. Certainly congratulations to him as a young person who seems relatively new to politics. And I think that he will approach the task in somewhat more of a technical way. And I think that is essentially the way that I appear to be pitched. I don't think that he politically is expecting to run for a seat in the next election. I don't expect to see his name appearing on any list like that. But, government from time to time will need to build up the capacity in terms of technical expertise, people who are not political, but they will need to call upon in that regard. The other interesting development would be the promotion of Senator Chad Blackman, who appears to be one of the rising stars in politics. He has now been given a pretty heavy lift in the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education is a place that political aspirants can grow. Prime Minister Motley was there. Deputy Prime Minister Sandia Bradshaw was there. He's now been given that awesome responsibility. It's a whole lot of money to spend, and it's a whole lot of responsibility. And I wish him well. But certainly it is a heavy lift for him as a minister, now coming into his own, coming out of the office of the Prime Minister and taking on that responsibility. The question as to why the current minister, the former Minister of Education, was removed, I think is a reasonable question that people will ask. To my mind, Prime Minister Motley has appeared to change major ministers within the 5-year period that she has been in office. And already we've seen health, foreign affairs, transport and works, all of those ministries have changed. I suspect the only reason why education hasn't been changed so far is because there have been so many people calling for her head in the opposition, and the Prime Minister naturally would not want to give the impression that the opposition is running the government. So I think that the opportunity was taken to do what was done in relation to some other ministries, essentially to take a fresh guard and to give someone else an opportunity to do the lifting in education education, and we wish him well we wish her well in her new portfolio, which appears to be something similar to what she would have done in the past before she became education minister.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your opinion with us, political analyst Peter Wickham. Well, coming up on CBC NewsNight, another bumper year for tourism. Tourism, the engine of the Barbados economy, continues to record year-on-year improvements. And tourism officials are predicting a stellar performance again this year, with summer already looking like a bumper period. Rachel Agard attended the first quarterly meeting of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association and files this report.
Barbados enjoyed an increase in both air and cruise tourism last year. This has been reported by Chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Javon Griffith. He says the U.S. market saw an impressive 29% surge of visitors, Canada a notable 13% increase, CARICOM a 4.7% rise, while the UK arrivals declined by 2% and the European by 1.7%. Additionally, the island closed 2024 with a 1.7% increase in stayover visitors. Mr. Griffith expects this year's figures to be even higher. He says as of February 15th, in-house data shows average occupancy rates at accommodation members as high as 81%, while hotels have reported occupancy in the high 90s.
Summer bookings are also gaining momentum, with post-winter occupancy already averaging above 50%. And this data is based on submissions from 48 hotel members across all categories, representing a total of 4,547 hotel rooms. Additionally, Barbados will host a West Indies versus Australia test match at Kensington Oval from June 25th to 29th, 2025. This event is expected to provide a strong boost for our members as the summer season begins. As regathering celebrations continue across the island, we anticipate increased arrivals from the diaspora, particularly around the Crossover Festival, further strengthening summer travel demand to Barbados.
Mr. Griffith adds that cruise arrivals experienced a 24.5% growth, while cruise calls saw a 14% increase. Barbados will also welcome inaugural calls from a number of cruise liners, with the Ritz-Carlton Ilma already making its first visit.
As a globally recognized leader in luxury hospitality, the Ritz-Carlton brand choosing Bridgetown for 5 calls this winter underscores Barbados's growing reputation as a premier travel destination. Looking ahead, Barbados will welcome another inaugural cruise call on March 11th with the Mitsui Ocean Fuji, a Japanese luxury cruise ship operated by Mitsui OSK Lines.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer Ryan Ford says new upgrades for the BHTA will be coming on stream within the coming months. These include tourist attractions, restaurants, and hotel properties, but he stresses there is more work to be done. He adds the BHTA has already completed the first phase of its website, which is expected to be completed before the end of 2025.
Hotel properties such as All Seasons Europa, South Gap, Coconut Court, Sugar Bay, Blue Orchid, Coral Mist, Sandpiper, and others have invested millions into refurbishments and upgrades. These are all indigenous, locally owned hotel companies I have mentioned. Apart from those, the Marriott, formerly Elegant Group, has invested almost $100 million, which will see 5 of their 7 properties refurbished before the end of the year and another by midsummer next year.
Mr. Ford would also like to see more data sharing among stakeholders to allow for better planning for the industry. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Now, as the Ideas Forum continues to move apace, Prime Minister Mia Motley has instructed that Cabinet be furnished with a report every 2 months. Last night, St. Peter held its Idea Forum, where a number of ideas were tabled. Again, our Rachel Agard has that story.
Going forward, town managers will be appointed for the island's hubs. This is according to Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley. She says already a manager has been placed at Bridgetown, with Oistins, Holtown, Spicetown, and 6 Roads to follow suit. And they will also be looking at Belle Plaine St. Andrew and the Glebe St. George.
The reality is that in the absence of a local government structure, these are the things that you may need to put in place to ensure that there is a coherent response to the development of the services in the town. This is without prejudice to the parish assemblies, which we are looking at in terms of implementing, and I really do hope that in the course of the next year, those alongside with what has been recommended in the Constitutional Review Commission and the Parliamentary Reform Commission, that we take all of those commissions and we should be seeing the rollout of the recommendations during the course of the next fiscal year.
Further, Prime Minister Motley says government will have to consult with the populace about a comprehensive coastal plan from St. Lucie to the Bridgetown port.
Suffice it to say that what we do know is that we can't just replenish the beaches without having coastal defense systems offshore, because if not, the sand will just go each time again. And therefore, we are in the process of looking at a comprehensive plan from St. Lucie to the port. The reality is that that plan is going to cost significant sums of money.
Addressing concerns about the lack of a dental clinic at the Maurice Bayer Polyclinic, Prime Minister Motley says the country has been facing a shortage of skills, predominantly in dental auxiliaries.
That's largely also because the training program, which used to be available in Jamaica, has stopped. We are now in discussion trying to see if we can get the training to start at the Barbados Community College, but inevitably it means that we either have to import the skills or we will not benefit from it.
The next Ideas Forum is scheduled to be held in March in St. Thomas as part of the We Gathering 2025 activities. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Thank you, Rachel. Barbadians from all walks of life today said their final farewell to former Communications and Public Affairs Officer of the Barbados Police Service, Inspector Rodney Innes. They gathered for his funeral at the Wilde Gymnasium and the Bushy Park Cemetery. Anesta Henry attended and shares more details.
One last time. The lights and cameras were on former Communications and Public Affairs Officer of the Barbados Police Service, Inspector 664 Rodney Innes. His was the voice of calm reassurance and empathy where necessary when the service needed to communicate with the public. The hundreds gathered for the military service were also told Inspector Innes served with a passion and sense of pride and dignity at different levels of the force during his remarkable 32-year career. Assistant Commissioner of Police Antonio Ford says Inspector Innes made a major contribution to the service and will be remembered as a warm, loving, and simply decent stalwart of a man.
A professional and loyal police officer, a son, a father, a brother, a nephew, an uncle, a family man, a friend, but lastly, a hero.
His sister Natalie Pierce says while her brother accomplished much during his career as a police officer, he saw his two daughters, Marissa Innes and Gabrielle Allen, as his proudest achievements.
Rodney's character made him absolutely suitable for his job. His own personal life experiences blended to produce a man who lived a purposeful life. His mantra, do something good for somebody today.
Inspector Innes also had a love for dominoes and was committed to pushing the game locally, regionally, and internationally. As a result of his efforts, Barbados will be the first English-speaking Caribbean country to host the FIMONDO World Championships for dominoes this year. Marketing and Communications Officer for the Domino Group Bajan Travelers, Eric Lewis, says Inspector Innes always represented his country with pride while on overseas tours.
Rodney was a leader, a born leader, a man blessed with skills. You know, when we are on tour and anything happens, the first thing they would say is, find Rodney. Because we know, or we knew, that Rodney would get it handled. Before we leave a destination, the hotel, to go to a venue to play, Rodney would always assemble everyone and he would say a word of prayer.
Inspector Innes, who died at his Casuarina St. Philip home on February 1st, was laid to rest at the Bushy Park Cemetery, where a gun salute signaled his final send-off. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Sports is just ahead with Damien Best. Well, time to welcome Damien Best. Knapsack is moving ahead with pace.
Yes, definitely. Good evening to you, Tisha. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Here are the details. The girls from Fashion Nation, Bailey's Primary, and St. Cyprian's boys ruled the track at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex today in the Obadiah Thompson zone of the Chafet Frosties Knapsack. The Bailey's girls dominated to amass 306 points ahead of Hinesbury with 260 and St. Jude's Primary 148 points. Meanwhile, St. Cyprian's boys scored 292 points ahead of Bailey's boys with 234 and Milton Lynch with 163 points. Taking a look at some of the sprints is CBC's Anne-Marie Burke.
We start with the babies of Knapsack, the under-7s 50 meters. And she came from the east to the west to conquer the Usain Bolt track. On the inside, a glance across her shirt. She had them done and dusted. That's Sophia Blackman of Bailey's Primary. No stopping her. She's a star. Our overall winner in 9.53 seconds. The turn of the boys, and this will be over in 9.39. And here he comes out of lane number 2 like a little freight train. Tail and holder of Golden Waters, large and in charge. They couldn't catch him. Fastest on the 7 over 50 meters. To the under-9s, they're running 80 meters, and this third he produced our winner. She's in the middle of the track in the brown and yellow of St. Jude's. In the final meter, she stayed claim to the top spot. That's Shalisa Ford, who comes through in 13.54 seconds. Kezia Cumberbatch of Warren's Primary was second in 13.59. And all the running in the under-9 boys came in the very first heat. It was a ding-dong battle between Zaire Walcott and Corey Lane. Walcott of St. Cyprian's, Lane of Gordon Waters. And it will go down to the wire where Walcott nips ahead of Lane. The times 12.45 and 12.71. We skip to the hundreds, the under-13s, and cast our eyes on the outer lanes. Lanes 5 and 6, Risa Leacock of Hinesbury and Sadie Coppin of Bailey's. And it was in the final 50 meters that Leacock made her move. And Coppin was playing catch-up as Leacock crosses the line in 14.68 seconds. Coppin, 15.09. And to the boys, under 13, 100 meters. Again, the outside lanes carrying command of the field. In particular, in the blue of Warren's Primary, Luke Eady. The script was written with just half the distance conquered. He was focused, showed good form, and came through with the winning formula in a time of 14.18 seconds. That's a wrap on the Obadiah Thompson zone. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
Cricket news now. Ballier Stars defeated ANA Strikers by 30 runs to win the inaugural Champion of Champions T20 tape ball competition. Opting to bat first over the weekend at the Weymouth Police Sports Club, Ballier Stars racked up 196 for 6, led by Alcinda Holder with 76 off 42 balls. The Strikers were then held to 166 for 9 in their 20 overs. Gary Austin took 3 for 42, while there were 2 wickets apiece for Javon Grosvenor and Deswin Currency. Ballier Stars opting to bat first against Strikers in the big final at Weymouth. A maiden first over by Stefan Griffith, followed by this Sadrian Wartrap LBW by Sajid Hafiji for Golden Duck. 1 wicket down, no runs on the board. Fast forward, Hafiji into his second over. Long hop and deposited over long off by Kadeem Alim for 6. Stars only had themselves to blame for the fall of the second wicket. Alcinda Holder wanted the single, thought about it, and then opted out. And that was disastrous. Aline headed to the pavilion, 21 for 2. Holder would make amends. Tugs Branca over mid-wicket for 6. Jadan Jones imposing himself as well. 20 runs coming off of Branca's over, punctuated with 3 sixes. Jones racing to 20. However, he went quickly after that one. Marlon Welcome Goodman removes Jones for 26, making it 82 for 3. Then it was a dangerous Larry Babb to pick up the pieces, supporting Holder, who was seeing it big. And his 16 runs off of Hart's over moved into within 7 runs of a half century. Holder getting to the milestone comfortably. Strikers praying for a breakthrough. The Stars in their element under clear skies. Welcome Goodman to Holder, says thank you so much. Almost ended up on the grill. Bob was quiet for a while, then reactivated. Zidane Herwood, too short. Bob's eyes lit up, and the rest is history. Welcome Goodman in his final over. Finally something to smile about. Holder's innings ends. Caught at square leg by Hafiji for 76, 169 for 4. With a couple overs left in the innings, the Stars would get up to 196 for 6 in their 20 overs. Bob made a vital 37 in what was a challenging total. The runs chase started very shaky. Raymond Kelman dismissed for 1, didn't get the elevation, and Ward would take it low down. Wicket to Desmond Currency, 3 for 1. At this point, the crowd had filled out all corners of the venue. Zidane Herwood out the middle of the willow, 4 runs. This one had to make the highlight reel as well. Very next ball here with the shot of the final. 10 off 2 balls. The bowler Currency, null and void. Change of bowler. Herwood looking for the same dividends. Clean ball for 14, 33 for 2. The squeeze was on and Wazim Wankad was bowled by Grosvenor for 24. Beaten for pace, 47 for 3. Boundaries ran up and the wicket column active as well. Cheyenne Brathwaite caught at square leg by Grosvenor for 8. Kamal Seeley his first scalp. Welcome Goodman got a toe crusher from Gary Austin and that beat his defences. Bowl for 12, 93 for 5. Kemar Hart got strikers past 3 figures. More of this needed with 5 overs to go. Required run rate now at 19.04. Kemar Smith swing edge found. Jamar Eiffel sharp behind the sticks. Grosvenor pleased his punch. Smith goes for 26, 124 for 6. Hart couldn't afford not to go after the bowlers and did well to compile 38 runs, registering 4 6s and 2 4s before he was caught on the boundary by Jones. After that, the innings never kicked on and the strikers finished on 166 for 9. Bel Air Stars are your champions of champions in the T20 tape ball final at Weymouth, taking the finale against strikers by 30 runs. Fireworks to end what was an entertaining tournament. Well, today's ICC Champions Trophy match between Australia and South Africa was abandoned without a ball being bowled because of persistent rain in Rawalpindi. Both sides won their opening matches and now have 3 points in Group B, and a win in their final game would guarantee qualification for the semi-finals. Tomorrow, England will need to beat Afghanistan to keep their hopes of progressing alive. That is the first half in sports. Tisha, it's back over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Damien. We look forward to your second half. Stay with us. Up next on CBC NewsNight, we have the business report.
Young entrepreneurs.
The Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme views its recently held Youth Market Day as an opportunity for its clients to reach a different demographic and have their products go beyond Barbados. The event was held at Ross Trevor Resort in St. Lawrence Gap, Christchurch. Trevor Thorpe was there.
Youth Enterprise Officer Sherry-Ann Jordan tells the business report all of their clients get the opportunity to move from the classroom and hands-on sessions to real-life settings. She said the Ross Trevor initiative affords them the opportunity to respond to the market in real terms as they prepare to take their places in the industry.
This year we've expanded a bit. Last year it was strictly those with products. We've now gone into the creative side of it, so we've exposed a nice and upcoming young band called The Right Combination. So we do have opportunities for persons who have other skills that they can bring to the hotel and to the guests.
Ross Trevor Resort's event coordinator Sonia Dawson said repeat visitors ask for the event and grab souvenirs, while first-timers make it a talking point and add it to their bucket list for the next visit.
So as we start and resume our guest brunch parties, we once again partner with YAS and to showcase the young entrepreneurs who are coming on the stream of the business element. So we're giving them another opportunity to showcase what they have so that our guests can have a spot-on engagement with the young entrepreneurs, see who is behind the product, get a one-on-one first-hand look and knowledge with them while they support them and purchase something from Barbados.
Laird with Love's creator and owner, Ashley Fenty, said she has learned a lot from the Ross Trevor Resort Initiative and gave some background on her enterprise.
A small bakery for now that offers custom treats ranging from cakes, cookies, cheesecakes, cupcakes, and much more. This evening, we had the pleasure of coming to the Ross Trevor Hotel, where we are given the opportunity to showcase some of our lovely treats. The attraction right now is really interesting in terms of how persons are receiving our products. We thank YES, the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, for the opportunity. They have brought me a long way.
Yes Acting Manager Ryan Mosley said the annual event gives clients the opportunity to broaden their horizons as they develop their respective enterprises.
This is an opportunity that we are seriously consolidating. We said at the beginning of the year that we are looking for markets for our clients. Access to markets is a key area in promoting entrepreneurship, and we are extremely pleased that selling and exporting products to the hospitality industry for the guests at the hotel is another area that our clients have the opportunity to make money from, and we truly are blessed to have this relationship continue.
The Yes Ross Trevor Resort Initiative will run until April, but the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme is looking to include other resorts by the start of the 2026 season. Trevor Thorpe for the Yes Business Report.
A change in the lead insurer of the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, BARP, is on the cards. President of BARP, Marilyn Rice-Bowen, says it is as a result of a collaborative agreement between Sagicor, Beacon and Trident Insurance Companies, all of which have been parties of the BARP medical plan over the years.
Effective March 1st, Beacon Insurance will be our new lead insurer. This transition is a result of a collaborative agreement between Sagicor, Beacon, and Trident Insurance, all of whom have been parties to the BARP medical plan over the past 7 years. This change in lead insurer will not, and I want to re-emphasize this change in lead insurer will not materially affect the plan's benefits or coverage for BARP members.
We'll take a break right here and come back with the weather with Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Well, Carrie-Ann O'Neill is here. That means it's time for weather.
Good evening to you, Tisha, and good evening, everyone. The high-pressure system was our dominant feature today. We had fair to partly cloudy skies, only a few light showers. Now, the winds across the region, they are light to moderate, and convergence maintained some showers across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 30 degrees Celsius, the minimum 25 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 26 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 77%. Those winds are coming in from the southeast. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows that it's relatively dry across most of the islands, and the winds are light to moderate. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the high-pressure system was the dominant feature. We saw only a few light showers across some sections of the island. Meanwhile, the winds, they're peaking at 19 knots. Now, the seas, moderate and open water with swells peaking at 2 meters. Later on tonight, the high-pressure system will continue to dominate. We are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with just a few light showers. And further south, convergence maintained some showers across the Guianas. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecasts for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 16 minutes after 6 and will set at 6 minutes past 6. The first high tide That can be expected at 10 minutes after 3 in the early morning, the first low at 8:31 a.m. Now those seas moderate and open water with swells peaking at 2 meters. The winds, they're coming in from the east to the southeast at 30 kilometers per hour. Now for us here in Barbados tonight, we can expect a mix of clear and cloudy skies along with a few brief scattered light showers. And over the next 3 days, partly sunny skies along with light showers can be expected.
Damien Best is back. Welcome back. What do you have for us?
Yeah, thanks so much, Tisha. Just a short note. Tonight's athlete in the spotlight is a competitor who started athletics by just helping her host at school to gain points, and now she has jumped her way to the Carifta Games.
It's time for Athlete in the Spotlight, where we take a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Power A Dasani BSAT Championship. You can say it was written, not in the stars, but in her books. And the words on Shania Montley's vision board have come to pass. Since starting her track and field journey, she has achieved the one goal set out from the beginning.
When I first started track and field, it was in primary school. It was just a little fun thing, just because I wanted to do something. So like, whenever sports came around, I decided, well, if they need an extra person, I would help out. Like, I would help my team get more points. Then as I came into secondary school, one of my goals when I wrote my first form was that I would like to qualify for BSAT every single year. Like, because I only made NAPSAT twice. Anyways, so like, then I decided I'd do BSAT every year. And then, well, high jump, it just started off as a little fun thing. Like, my coach was like, hey, you have the height for it. Will you be willing to do it? So I said, sure. And it went from there, just as fun to this now.
Shania is the reigning under-17 girls BSAT champion in the high jump event. And she's once again looking forward to the biggest junior athletics meet in Barbados.
How excited are you now to be competing at this BSAT 2025?
Very, very, very excited. I would like to win gold again at BSAT and make it 2 years in a row.
Montley has also outlined her plans for Carifta.
For me, when I get to Carifta, I would like to clear 180 or possibly set a record, but what I would really like is either a goal or a podium finish.
Shania is very appreciative of the support she receives from her adoring family and coach, Desiree Critchlow.
To see their face when they get excited as to, like, when I clear a certain height or this, like that, is very exciting. And I've got a lot of support from my coach, Desiree Critchlow. Like, she was the person who worked with me from first form up to now.
So there you have it. Our athlete in the spotlight is Shania Montley. That was your athlete in the spotlight, where we took a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Power A Dasani BSAT Championships.
And that is my time for Sports Night tonight, but don't move. We've got a preview as we look forward to Gold Cup 2025, and that is before the end of News Night. Over to you, Tisha.
Look forward to that. We'll return after this break. Well, we are just 4 days away from the island's marquee horse racing event, the Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup. It's a field of 8 horses, and over the next few days, CBC's Anne-Marie Burke will take a look a little closer at those entries.
The Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup is upon us, and here's a look at the horses and their connections, vying for that coveted trophy. This is Mounted Glory. In a field of predominantly overseas-based horses, two will carry the local charge, Show the Money and Vividly. This will be Vividly's second trip in the prestigious race, having gone on place in the 2023 edition. Bred by Jumont Farms and owned by Darian Clark, Beth Koch and Jaleesa Calendar, the 8-year-old mare ran second in the Coolmore Stakes and Trophy back on February 8th, and this comes off a layoff for the entire 2024 season. With 2 wins in 8 appearances, one of those wins at the Gold Cup distance, though not a favorite, she's expected to give a good account of herself. she's under the reins of trainer Charles Williams.
Right now, she's in a good place. She's doing everything that is asked. She was off for a while, 13 months. She came back from the farm and she did run well. So she'll come on from that. She's a lot better for the run.
Goka is mainly international horses, so how does it feel to have that Bajan representation behind the horse?
Well, we're Bajans, so I got to do everything possible to see if we can keep it at home. But at the end of the day, the race go around. They got good quality horses coming, so we'll see how it goes.
And what are your overall expectations for Goka race day?
She'll run well. I can't tell you how the race will finish, but she'll run well.
On the other hand, Show the Money has never gone the trip at 1,800 meters and is considered the long shot. However, he's in the hands of the 2023 Gold Cup winning Wakefield stables with trainer Rommel Perkins Lovell and owner Mark Goodridge. Since arriving on the island 5 years ago, the English imported horse has won 6 races on the Garrison Savannah turf, the last 2 on the trot, all over 1,100 meters. Trainer Lovell says he's not to be discounted.
Don't leave him out. He can spoil all your exactas, trifectas, everything. Don't leave him out your bets. He's going as good as anyone else. Quite happy with his preparation this far. I was only saying to the owner a few days ago that I think this is the best time we've ever had him since he's been in Barbados. I mean, he's one of the older horses now, but I'll say he's as good as possible as we can possibly have him right now.
So if you want to place your bet locally, Show the Money goes out of gate number 2, representing the parish of St. George, while Vividly will be in the middle out of gate 5, representing St. Thomas. That was a look at some of the horses and their connections vying for that coveted Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup. That was Mounted Glory.
And that's news. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. On behalf of the entire crew, enjoy the rest of your evening.